we're here today to kind of go over like exporting from Substance Painter to Sketchfab. There have been a lot of issues and errors with people uploading to Sketchfab. I want to try it out myself and see what happens. Okay, but manual import may be necessary to get this job done. Okay, so I'm gonna try to export to Substance Painter with the exporter, but I'm also going to upload manually as well. Uh, Currently, I don't have any room on my Sketchfab, so I'm just going to replace one of my older models with this Katana. This is like the most portfolio 4 thing that I can upload that isn't already on Sketchfab, so I'll kill two birds with one stone today, hopefully. We're going to export textures. Don't export mesh because once again, that's just going to send your model somewhere. It's not going to actually upload anything to Sketchfab that's texture based. And with that also, if you have no textures in Sketchfab, you're not going to see any UVs either. So I'm going to come over to the Sketchfab output template. This exporter is pretty new to me. Um, I want each of these to be 4K resolution. That's what I've been kind of rendering out at. Dilation, shader, parameters. You shouldn't really have many controls over this exporter, truthfully though. So I only have one material that's coming out too. You can tell it to override certain materials if you have special maps that shouldn't be baking anything. If you were putting opacity on like glass on your model and just for you to do IRA renders and stuff like that, which you all should be doing this week, IRA renders. This is your presentation week for Milestone 4. But yeah, if you have materials and stuff on that, then please get rid of, click that stuff off so that you're not exporting an opacity map or emissive or anything like that that you just have as a material fill. You know what I mean? So that's going to save you from getting any extra maps in Sketchfab too. Okay. But yeah, I don't see any other features here, so let me click export and see what happens. This is probably going to be a long little bake, maybe. But I truthfully, I need 4K. If this doesn't work at all, if the Sketchfab bumps me out and says that I can't upload to something, then what I may need to do is lower the maps to 2048 instead. I did say, why does it say 2048? You didn't listen to me. You didn't listen to me at all. You lying program. You deceitful devil, you. Okay. Let's just bump this up to 4K just so we get rid of all the nonsense here. Hopefully me doing this processes this information and makes it go a lot faster. Who knows? I just want to make sure that this does export at 4K. I have the free program of Sketchfab as well. I am not using Pro. As an instructor, we used to have that, but we no longer have that. I'm going to replace my Huskman because I already have my textured version up here anyway. So yeah, this one's like a sculpture that I did like a test render on. So should be good. Should be good. It is a disabled model though too. So since the file size is a little bit bigger, I know that that one cannot be published yet. Okay, render things at 4K and go. Actually, I believe that's like my AO and stuff. I did not bake 4K. Pretty sure. Come over to my baked maps. Huh? Yeah, it looks good. Whether my maps are baked 4K or not is beyond me. Dang, come on. I don't want to do anything right now. Please. Please, please, please. All right. Export this guy at 4K, please. What is this mess that you're giving me here? Okay, if this thing comes out as 2048, I don't know what else I'm supposed to do here. I asked it 4K. I put it at 4K. I cancel it. Cancel, cancel. What is it doing right now? I am at 4K resolution, buddy. Let me try resetting my configuration here. Let's see if this works now. Maybe this will work. Now that everything is at 4K, right? Yeah, I'm at 4K now. Based on each texture set size. Yes, ma'am. I'm guessing this is old. I'm guessing all this information up here is my last bake. And maybe it's not really baking all that stuff out. But let me just let it think. Let's just let this thing go. All right, I'll be right back. I'm gonna let this thing run. All right, we're coming back here. Now I'm gonna try to upload over an existing model. Let me see if I have my husk test here. This one might work, it might not. We'll see. Error during export, see logs. All right, so let me see what this error is. Could not upload to Sketchfab. Okay. Error in the logs. There was a network upload to Sketchfab. Failed with HTTP error transferring Sketchfab models. Okay. So let me get off of my models there. Maybe I should get out of let me log out of Sketchfab just entirely. Sometimes that does help too. We'll see. We'll see if this works now. I want to clear this away. What is this thing? Oh, that's just a directory. As far as high res and game res goes, you know, if something is just going to be game res and doesn't need a high res version, then you don't have to have a high res version on everything, but it does still help with AO though, okay? So if you have, so let's say for instance, you know, you're making your wood planks, right? The base of your machine. Let me try another export here, and I'll answer you while we're waiting for that export to happen. Try this again. But you know, your machine still, you know, you still want a high res on those wood planks, even though you're not baking anything onto it, because that geometry is going to cast a shadow on the shapes that you are baking on with your AO. Okay, so all the shapes that you have pushed into that vending machine are you want there to be some geometry there for it to cast a shadow with, not onto, but with. I hope that makes more sense to you. So I mean, actually having some of that stuff in the high res still is good. It doesn't need to get smooth or anything like that though. It does have a purpose though, yeah. That's more or less what I'm kind of saying. Okay. I'm gonna try something else. I'm gonna try getting rid of this shit maybe. Because that one's a big file size. Could not upload to Sketchfab again. Oh wait. What's going on? Why did it take me there? Let me sign in here quick. Go to my models here. Try to refresh this thing. Uploads. Epitaph frame. Yeah. I imagine it's processing right now. I don't really see. It doesn't say that it's processing though. I don't have any errors though. It doesn't look like this one gave me any errors. Okay. Successfully uploaded Sketchfab under this ID. So maybe, I don't know if it was my model, or I don't know if it was me changing my settings up, or getting out of Sketchfab. Once again, though, sometimes I think that happens where you have to log out of Sketchfab. Yeah, sometimes you have to log out of Sketchfab and come back into it, or just stay out of Sketchfab while you upload it to Sketchfab. That way, you know, there isn't any interference between those two models, okay? So that is something I would say try to stay away from as far as having your stuff loaded up while you're in there. I'm gonna let this thing kind of sit like this. And now I'm going to export the stuff manually, okay? So I'm going to show you how to do this manually, just in case this Sketchfab uploader does not work, okay? But here's the big thing though, okay? Once again, I do want you guys exporting with the exporter if you possibly can, because Substance Painter is going to change your model for Sketchfab, and that's what's most important here. So we want that. We want that stuff coming out the right way. I need to go to this template here, PBR metal roughness, because this is what I'm getting out of this one. I don't want height. Simple. Okay, so this is the one that I made. I'm pretty sure I made this one where I called it simple. because it's the only one that's got an underscore on it. You may want to make your own that does this kind of thing, or maybe just kind of duplicate one of these other ones and change it up a little bit. But this is what we're looking for here. Base color, roughness, metal, normal, AO. You want the AO to come out. You don't want height coming out. What that's going to, height is going to go to your displacement channel in Sketchfab, and that's going to mess everything up, okay? What you want to do here is have a normal channel set up, and you want your DirectX map to come over to that normal channel, okay? So you drag this guy over here. It's this one that you want to grab. If you grab this one, it's only going to give us the normal maps of the layers themselves, okay? So that's only going to be normals for your layers. If you grab this one, it's only going to be your baked normal map, okay? Also, something you probably don't want to just, you know, have your bake on there. You want the normals that the model has too, and with the layers. But this one right here, your normal DirectX is your it's your DirectX normal map of your layers and your baked map combined. It also, though, has your height information from the layers put into there as well. Okay, so that's your baked normals, your painted normals, and your height information from your layers all combined into one normal map. This is the guy that you want to grab and make sure that he's in there. Okay. So that's what we're doing with that. AO, same thing. If you grab the AO in here, it's just going to be the AO of your layers. This one's just going to be the AO of your baked map. This one right here is going to be the mixed AO of your layers and your baked AO map. Okay, so make sure that you're grabbing this guy, put him in here, gray channel. Yep. Okay. Metallic, roughness, those are all going to be in here because this is all stuff that you did in layers. You didn't bake a base color onto your model. You didn't bake any of this other stuff, okay? Also, the last thing here is opacity, okay? Now, if you're using opacity and you need an opacity map and you're not just using the layer sliders, then this is where the opacity goes, is in the alpha channel of your base color. You're going to want to find that opacity channel and grab it and pull it on into here, okay? Now, if there's other stuff that we're missing here, then we need to add that, okay? For instance, if I need it to use, if my model has emissive, I need to make an RGB here. I'm going to say mesh. I wonder if it does that by itself. Let's go to texture set. No, it doesn't put the underscore in there. I'm just going to put an underscore texture set underscore emissive. Let's see, it's 1M, 2 S's. There we go. Emissive. Or you could just say glow. The same thing. Okay. Emissive. There's my channel. Pull it in there. RGB. Now I have an emissive map coming out, and it's using my emissive information. Okay. This model doesn't have any emissive information on it, so it shouldn't give me anything to work with that. It'll just not give me a map for that. Okay. But this is how you set that stuff up, is, you know, making these RGB is your colors and the A, okay? You can't use the Unreal ones. You can't, Sketchfab can't comprehend the compressed, what is it, metal AO roughness maps put together. It can't understand that, so you can't use that kind of skill set. This is the kind of stuff that you want coming out, okay? So this is what I'm going to use as my PBR Metal Rough Simple. I would advise you guys to play around with how you can make these things and plug in your own channels and stuff, okay? Because I've been able to make some pretty cool stuff. Obviously, you've seen some of my latest models where I've been able to grab my curvature map and my AO map and combine those together to start making like an inking layer of my model that gives me these really cool looking outlines and expressions there. So if you're interested in doing anything stylized or anything like that, you may want to try to play around with how you can manipulate certain maps to get what you want out of them, okay? And that's kind of what I did here. I have like an AO an AO and like a curvature map kind of baked together to give me some slight little highlights in my model, and then areas that I can really draw some information on them too, okay? So a lot of cool stuff that you can do with some of these maps it basically gives you a pretty good start to these things. Okay, it looks like my epitaph frame has updated. I do see a katana in here. It looks like my handle. There we go. No maps though. I have no maps. So they're probably in my maps. Let me show you exporting this guy out though. Once again, you want to export this stuff out. Actually, I'm just going to save myself the trouble of exporting this out manually. There's just more maps on my engine in my computer that I don't need right now. Let me take a look here, okay? Because there are a couple things. Let me go to 3D settings and play with this a little bit more, okay? Now I'm re-uploading to an already existing model, so I'm gonna have to change the name. Right now, it probably still reads my old material, and it's trying to put that old material on my new model, maybe. Let me take a look here and check out materials. I still only have one, okay? Before I start playing around with lighting and stuff like that, I really want to make sure that this is working the right way, okay? So I'm gonna come over here, come into textures, and see if I have any textures in here, because it looks like I got some stuff. Pretty cool. I think my stuff came in with me. So it was in here, it came in, okay? It's just in your inventory here now, not plugged in the right way, okay? So that's what we have to fix right now, all right? Now this is a little confusing right now, because I mean, the one I want to show you the most here is the normal map, okay? Because this is what I need to research real quick, all right? I'm gonna turn this off right now. This is what controls your OpenGL to DirectX, okay? Sketchfab is OpenGL. So if I export DirectX out of Substance Painter manually, then it will only give me it'll give me a DirectX normal map, okay? However, if I let the Substance exporter, export my model directly to Sketchfab, Substance Painter is smart enough to know Sketchfab is OpenGL, and you're giving me a DirectX. So I'm going to change that DirectX to an OpenGL for you, my bro, because I love you, all right? That's what it's going to do, okay? So if you let the exporter do its thing, you won't have to change anything here, okay? I am uncertain if this is right or not. I need to check on some things a little further here. Right now, let me turn off metalness because I think that's kind of deceiving me here. Okay, these guys look like they're coming out. It looks like it's doing what it's supposed to be doing for me right now. I don't see any big UV seams that are standing out for me either. So I hope that this is doing the right thing. Let me bump up the metalness again, because now it's just too blinding for me to even see anything. Let me try flipping this though and see what happens, okay? All right, now I flipped it. I think this UV seems coming out a little bit more. And you'll get little hints, like, you know, you see the difference between this, right? Like right now they look like they're sunken in, right? They're sunken into the mesh. It's some of those vertical details. It's the straight up and down that we need to fix, okay? So straight up and down needs to get fixed. I'm going to say that these guys look like they're doing the right thing. They're going into the model. They're embossed in there like I asked them to be. They're not extruded out. This one looks a little bit backwards and inside out, okay? So those are my indicators that, yes, Sketchfab or Substance Painter did export my map as an OpenGL instead of a DirectX for me because it loves me, okay? So now that I know that that's plugged in the right way, and once again, this is how you're plugging things in manually too, okay? If you have to export manually here from Substance Painter. You export your model out, you export your textures and everything, put it into Sketchfab, okay? Just upload the model. You don't have to worry about the textures right now, okay? If your file size is not going to allow you to do this stuff, then don't play around with it. Just export the model in, and we will come in here, come to textures, manage textures, and import your textures. Okay, so if you exported manually, put this stuff back in there and import your textures in manually. Okay, here's my base color, albedo, same thing. There's my base color, plugged in. All right, metalness, right there. Here we go. Specularity, I'll play around with that later. Roughness, where's my roughy rough? There he is. Okay. I'm still missing ambient occlusion. Gotta turn that on. Plug my AO in. I want him to occlude specularity. What that's going to do is the darkness of my AO map is going to it's going to hide the specular shine. That's pretty much what the AO map does, and it's a really powerful effect that I encourage you guys to take advantage of. Okay. And then single-sided faces. Yeah, I'm not dealing with any emissives. Opacity. Now, once again, my model's ready on Sketchfab now. If you did put your opacity in your base color, you're going to need to put that base color map in your opacity here and tell it, hey, I want you to use the alpha instead of luminance. Right now it sees that there is no alpha in my base color because I didn't export it manually. All right. So right now I don't need any opacity map in here because I'm not really using opacity for this model. But you're gonna, if you do import manually, put your base color in there and tell it to look for the alpha map, and then it will understand that that's where the opacity is. Okay, that's if you're using masking opacity and you actually have textured information on your model. All right, super de duper. Okay, so once again, everyone here, you guys may notice a subtle difference to what it looks like here inside Substance Painter and what it looks like inside Sketchfab. All right, you're going to have to play around with things because there are a few things happening. For one, I have like a different lighting scenario. Things are different between the two programs. Height is not height anymore, it's normals now. So that's a big thing that people don't really understand too well. Let me load up another preset here. Let's try to change up the HDRI. Let's get something softer and calmer, like what we're dealing with inside of Sketchfab or Substance Painter. Let's go wooded. Let's go for like a woodland environment area. Okay. Let me check out my normals here, because once again, you know, if my normals are just too intense, and it's really going to amplify things. So I would say that, you know, looking at my handle here, something that I'm just going to self-critique myself on here is that I think that I overdid it on height information, and now it's really just picking up too much of that highlight, as you guys can see there. Okay, so that's looking a little weird. Let me play around with orientation on this light so I can get like some natural things. But yeah, I would say also that my roughness is probably too, well, here, let me lower my specularity. This thing should be a little bit more muted, actually. I don't want those bright highlights on my model. I'm going to go for more of a neutral shine. I was pure white at first, you know, dropping this guy to a more reasonable specularity. That's going to help out a little bit, right? Now I can look at my my environment and you know, kind of crank up a little bit on that. I want more of that environment lighting on. And now, you know, I'm starting to see some more of that realism come into this model now, okay? We're starting to get some more of those realistic values in here. Currently, I have SSAO turned on. Okay, that's helping out a little bit. Let's see. Let's see what else is going on here. We got 3 lights. Background color, maybe a little bit dark. Let's lighten up a little bit. Okay, nothing too bad. Shading, PBR, definitely. We're using PBR. Yeah, specularity. Sometimes it's cranked up. I don't know, if that's an upload thing or not. But specularity is just, big no-no. If you're looking for a more muted color, and you don't want those annoying highlights, just lower the specularity down. Because that's just, roughness is like how much shine you get, but specularity is like the brilliance of that shine. So if I'm making like a velvety model that's kind of softer, or maybe I'm making a like a tactical weapon, sorry. I shouldn't be getting really high shines. I should be getting more muted shines. So specularity may help out with that a little bit. If I wanted my materials here to absorb more light, I could use subsurface scattering too, if I wanted to, or all kind of things. I really haven't played around with filters too much yet with this thing, so I can definitely play with my SSAO, increase the radius in certain areas and my bias. See what that thing looks like. Okay, I'm getting some minor shadows in there. Pretty cool stuff. Not too bad. As far as resolution goes, I can't really tell if this is I would say that this may not be 4K. It may be compressed down. But we can add a little bit of grain on the model just to give it a little bit of dirt. Just like a little dirty effect. That's still reasonable. Sharpness, we can turn the sharpness. The sharpness was on already, actually. Since I'm using an older model that I'm just rewriting over, some of this stuff is still turned on, so I need to play around with that a little bit more. Because I don't want, things to be too sharp on this. I still want this to be, usually my models are pretty sharpened up. This guy's not too bad, though. I really don't need a lot of sharpness on this. I want this guy to feel pretty soft and pretty realistic looking, actually. I want there to be like more of a calming tone to it. So I'm not gonna do any sharpness on this. I think the amount of grunge and wear that I put on this thing is still an excellent quality. I'm just gonna leave that off right now. Bloom, we can put a little bit of bloom on this though. Let's once again, yeah, just really if you want yourself a nice mystical looking kind of mystical weapon here, we could just get a little bit of bloom on there. Nothing too crazy. Threshold needs to come down quite a bit, and the radius too. But yeah, that's got a more radiant shine to it. That's not super specular. Bring intensity down just a little bit. I just want little bits. Now I'm getting spiffy, right? Now we're getting to the high quality game stuff. These are filters. This is what they do inside games, guys. They use filters in games. You better believe it. They're not, this isn't a fake. This isn't stuff that people are like, well, you're using too many filters. No, this is stuff that they have on the cameras right now in games. If I want my colors to be a little bit more brilliant, play around saturation. Maybe I want this thing to feel older and grungier, and I can just kind of pull some of the saturation away from it. Let's make this just a little bit deeper and darker. Let's go to 9. Let's just go to 0.9, something like that. That's gonna be nice. If I'm too high contrast, bring some of the contrast down. This is also affecting the background too, so I got to be careful with that. Brightness, darkness. Once again, this is affecting my background, and I don't want any more of that. I can increase the brightness of this guy and then come back to the background and play around with the background color and darken it a little bit more. that's something you can do. It's going to take a lot of tweaking to get exactly what you want on this model. Okay, color balance too. You know, if I want some highlights on my model, what have you there, we could do some color balance where I'm getting, you know, maybe get some blues on my midtones. Get some reds in the shadows. If you kind of pull like RGB into this thing, it really gets like a nice cool. So check out what my model looks like with these tones here. Just off and on. You can see that stuff just really pull out a lot. I think maybe I went a little bit too high on the greens. Okay, but then you start to get those environmental colors and it really has a cool effect. All right. I think I've played around with this guy enough. I mean, I'm probably going to pose him too. I'm not sure how I want to pose this guy yet. But I'll play around with that. Red background, you think that looks good? We can just change the background color up to be a little bit more red. I don't know, my colorblind eyes are kind of getting afflicted there by that. Maybe, yeah. Now I gotta undo that. I think I like the blue. Just a little bit more red in the background, but yeah. I think it definitely brings it all together, right? Yeah, absolutely. Okay, I think I'm good with this. I'm gonna save my settings. I need to change the name of this thing and all that, right? And change the posing. But I think I have it in Sketchfab the way that I want it to. So, I mean, once again, if you guys find that you have to import manually, I've given you a way. I mean, now, looking at this thing inside Substance Painter, it's like, well, now this looks like crap. It looks so much better in Sketchfab now that I've controlled the lighting. You should be doing an eye render with your last milestone, though. But if you do have problems uploading your model and you just don't know what to do with Sketchfab, this is the basics of it, and this is what you want to be doing to kind of pull your information out and put it back into Sketchfab the right way. Okay? All right. So I think that's the end of my lecture here. Did you have anything else for me, Chris, that you had questions for? I covered your little game res thing, right? Yeah, that. But yeah, I mean, this is you ready to jump in? Cool. Sketchfab is like the coolest freaking free toy that you're gonna get right now. Where it's like, how can you guys not want to play around with this stuff and like really feel these things out? Okay, I want everyone this week to really give yourselves a little bit of time in Sketchfab just to play around with things and to really just approach this stuff visually. Okay, guys, it's so important that you think about these things because it's how you're presenting your work. I know that you're not done with something like my Katana here, but you know, get that stuff set up so you don't forget about it too, and you don't run out of time. Because this is what I'm critiquing you on with that last week there. Okay, so give it a little bit of time, please. All right.